All right. Hey, everyone. Let's get started. Let's get right into this. It's Monday, and it's time to look for some day trades in the NASDAQ futures. All right. So, first things first, if you are new to the stream, welcome. This is what I'm going to be doing here. We're going to switch this over to the NASDAQ futures, and we're going to be using the Trade Scanner Pro to see if we could find any trade setups. Right now, you're looking at Bitcoin, and I wrote my analysis yesterday on TradingView. I hope you took some time to read that. This is one of the scenarios that I mentioned, breaking the 86K minor range resistance, that little consolidation we had, and look where we are. Right, that was worth a day trade. I don't know if anyone took that. The Trade Scanner Pro even mentioned that long over here. But anyway, interesting, right? So let's get these charts set up here because we want to look for some trades on the NASDAQ. You guys know how this works. So the first step is I first look for a trend and I look for support and resistance levels so we have a sense of context. Then we use the Trade Scanner Pro to confirm our trade idea. So the first step, we come up with the idea. The second step, we confirm the idea, and that's the actual trade signal. So let's set up these charts real quick. All right. So first, we're gonna move this over to a 1 minute, and we're going to change this to MNQ1. Right, and then that's a chart where I take action. Right, that's the trade chart. This chart over here, we'll keep this on the daily time frame. MNQ1. Now understand that I'm using my Apex evaluation account. All right, that's what I have here with Tradeovate. I'm using Tradeovate. That's this account right here. And the goal is to reach $3,000. If I can reach $3,000, then I beat the evaluation, and then I can move to a paid account. And then these trades that I take here are then worth real money, and I can withdraw against them, right? That's the goal here. So the experiment is, how long will it take me, or can I even beat their evaluation using this method? Now, just so you know, for people that are interested in these prop accounts, there's pros and cons to them, right? And there are also much faster ways to beat an evaluation account. There are techniques out there. Basically, you can beat the account in a couple of days or even in 1 day. So why am I not employing one of those? Well, they're not sustainable usually. And also on top of that, most prop firms penalize you for beating their evaluation, especially in 1 day. But there are periods where they'll give you some kind of special offer, right? Like Apex is running right now. I'm not an affiliate, but I'm just saying they have a special offer where they'll allow you to beat the account in 1 day without penalty. So in those type of situations, one of those aggressive all-in strategies would make sense. But I'm not doing that here because there's no point to doing that if you don't have a sustainable strategy. And the reason why they allow that, the reason why they open something like that up is because it invites a lot of gamblers, it attracts a lot of gamblers. Because if you think of this from a gambling perspective, prop firms make a lot of sense, especially because you can buy, 10 evaluations. You could do this all-in strategy. You're bound to get in at least on 1 or 2 tries, right? A couple out of 10, you're likely to, at one of them, you're likely to beat the eval, just gambling, just flipping a coin. But then when you get to the payout phase, you can gamble again. But the thing is, you blow the account, you got to start all over again, right? When it comes to the NASDAQ futures, just to give you an idea, this account, this 50K account, I can trade 10 mini lots. That's the max size. That's a huge position. It would only take 15 points for me to beat the eval. Do you realize that the NASDAQ futures moves 15 points in less than 30 seconds? So I can beat an eval in less than 30 seconds. The problem is, if I'm wrong, I can only lose 10 points. So 10 points is even easier to lose in a matter of seconds. So I blow the account instantly with 10 mini lots, right? So just to kind of give you some perspective. All right. So with that said, I want to welcome you guys. Let me see any comments. Feel free to say hello. Let let me get my daily depression here. Let's see how many people are following me. Okay. Oh, 4 on YouTube. That's you little. Oh, he just went to 3. Just that's a little more than usual, I guess you could say. And I got a few people on Twitter. Man, I don't know why I do this. Hey, Kai, how are you? All right. Good to see you. By the way, I am streaming today at Monday at 3 p.m. as well. So that's the analysis stream where we look at like the weekly scenarios, right? This here is the day trade stream where we're looking for trade ideas with the Trade Scanner Pro, particularly for the NASDAQ futures. I thought I'd get more people watching me, but I guess, I don't know. I guess I can't compete. Anyway, let's do our analysis. I don't want to rant on that for 3 hours. So let's expand our daily time frame here. We're going to start with that because you should start with the bigger picture first. Now, I understand people don't like me and people don't like my analysis because it's too simple. But my goal is to be the most efficient about this, meaning I want to use the least amount of information possible to make actionable decisions that are in line with the market. That's my goal. So I want to use the most valuable information and I want to use the least amount of it because in the markets, more is not better. Sure, more profit is better. But when it comes to information, because information in the markets, public information is so worthless, consuming more of it doesn't help us. Holiday. Yeah, holidays. We just had one on Friday over here. Market holidays. I don't like market holidays too much, but anyway, yeah. Thanks for joining us, Kai, on your holiday. So, and I appreciate the kind words. I want to make oh yeah, definitely, Kai. You come to New York, you got to let me know, man. Absolutely. I'm only 15 minutes outside the city. So yeah, it's not hard for me to get to New York. I'd love to meet you. Sure, let me know. You can send me an email. You have my email, Mark B. Market. Send me an email and we can hook up, man. Definitely love to do that. So anyway, yeah, thanks for mentioning that. So when it comes to analysis here, again, I'm trying less is more, and um, I'm trying to extract valuable information, but the least amount. So I don't need oscillators. I don't need all that garbage on my charts. I just need a couple of things. I need to understand the momentum and I need to know where my levels are. That is all I need. Only those 2 components. I don't need anything else. And I've proven it over and over and over again. All the analysis that I do on TradingView comes from those 2 components. All right. So anyway, let's do it. So first step, this is the daily time frame. Now, as a day trader, I don't need a lot of information here, but what I do need are the levels, right? So I'm going to get my little horizontal line and I'm going to draw some levels here. I'm looking for support and resistance levels. Look at this. So we have sort of a level going on there, okay? And that's a support. And it looks like we have some resistance right up in here. This is the overnight high. And it coincides with the previous day's candle. A lot of times the previous day's low and high can also be important levels to keep an eye on intraday. So that's all I need from this time frame. I don't need anything else. Let's go to the hourly chart because as a day trader, that's where the hourly information is going to be more valuable. So as you can see on this hourly chart here, these light blue areas, that's the pre-market. So the pre-market high and low can be valuable. As you can see, those daily levels that I noted on my daily time frame, that's what these blue lines are. Okay, so basically all I was able to do there was note the overnight high and low as well because that was part of today's candle. Now, we're pushing the low here, as you can see. This momentum is clearly bearish. There's no question. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, we're pushing the low. All right, so what does this tell me? Number one, I should expect less from support levels. They're likely to break. I should not be aggressively going long at support levels. So I lower my expectations, expect supports to break. I should expect more from resistance levels. They're likely to hold. Now, the market, of course, can change, but until it proves that change, I'm going to go with this mindset. Expect less from supports, expect more from resistance levels. I have a support here, I have a resistance level. I'm anticipating the support, it's breaking as we can see right now, and I expect it to continue to follow through, which means I'm not in a hurry to go long. Now, there is some conflict here though. And here's the conflict. We have this high back, this low back here, right? And if that sticks, if this sticks, we have a failed low situation, right? Excuse me, failed low double bottom situation. I need to be aware of that. Now, I normally I'm very interested in going long in these situations, right? But in this particular situation, I mean, look at this. Look how far back this goes, right? This is the lines that I drew on my daily time frame. So there's like a compound, like double bottom situation going on here, but we have no confirmation of it. I need to be aware of that because while I'm going to lean on the short side because that's where the momentum is right now, if this thing reverses in my face or this thing reverses hard in the next hour, like it's trying to do right now, we get something like that, I need to be aware that this may stick. All right. So it's conflicted. Can I put a probability on that? I have to lean on the short side until this thing proves otherwise. So when does it prove otherwise? Is a green candle enough? No. I need a resistance break. Right now, this is our minor resistance right there. See that? That lower high on the hourly chart? That's my resistance. That's the resistance that I'm going to use as a reference point. If we do not break that, then we are still short. We're looking for shorts. If we clear it, let's say whatever, some news comes out in the next hour, some surprise, and we clear it, something like that, then this bigger picture failed low situation is in effect, which means I need to get off the short train and I need to start thinking long at that point. Okay. So the main skill, I would say, if there is one to being a trader, is being able to adjust as the market provides new information. The market is always right. I don't pretend to be right. I don't pretend to know the future. I don't pretend to know more than anyone else. I know nothing. That's the way I go into this. The market knows everything. So I listen and I follow the market. I'm passive. That is the mindset you must have, especially as a day trader. People that like to assert their ideas and all this and all that, that's great if you're a lawyer. It doesn't work here in the markets. So that's the mindset I'm going with. So as of right now, I'm leaning on the short side. I keep talking about this. I keep repeating this over and over because this is going to play into my decision making for the Trade Scanner Pro. I must figure this out first before I go to the Trade Scanner Pro. I see people, they keep doing this, right? They sign up for the Trade Scanner Pro and then they cancel like the next day. And the reason why I believe they're doing this is because they expect the Trade Scanner Pro to give them all the answers. Like, oh, a signal popped up. No, the signals could be random. You have to come up with your idea first. Now, I understand beginners aren't going to be so quick to be able to come up with ideas. They're looking for ideas. That's why, they think the Trade Scanner Pro is going to give them that. It's not. The Trade Scanner Pro is a confirmation tool. I repeat that all the time. So we have our ideas. Okay. We're looking for shorts. That's the idea. Now, the Trade Scanner Pro, this is my 1 minute time frame. This is where I'm going to be searching for trades. Also, on this time frame here, let me just replace that. On this time frame here, once I have my hourly idea, I don't really need this chart anymore. So I'm going to go to a 30-second chart, okay, so that I can keep an eye on things. And I'm going to turn the Trade Scanner Pro on, and I want to be monitoring multiple time frames so that I can try to catch a trade idea. Now, I'm working on 1 minute or 30-second. I'm not going to go to a 15-second chart. Now, so that's it, right? Now, if I look at my time frames here, the momentum on these time frames says bearish. Okay, so the Trade Scanner Pro is in the right mode. It's looking for shorts. If it says trend is bullish up here, that means it would be looking for longs. Now, If I'm interested in longs in such a situation, I can switch to counter trend mode, but I'm not interested in longs. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to work on the side of the momentum, right? If we were in a more bullish situation where the general structure was bullish and we were pulling back and we had like a double bottom situation, but in a bullish context, and this thing was telling me bearish, then I would switch to long. Now, that can be very confusing for beginners. I understand that. That's why I demonstrate these streams. That's why when we have these examples, I try to demonstrate those situations where counter trend is most appropriate. In fact, if you watch my Wednesday stream from the previous week, I had a situation where the counter trend mode was appropriate and we had a nice trade. So watch that stream. If you're using the Trade Scanner Pro and you're not sure, watch these streams. That is the whole point of these streams. I know people don't go back and watch them. I can see by the numbers, but there's a lot of valuable information here to teach you how to use this tool effectively, right? We built this tool so that we could make a better experience, especially for beginner traders in the markets, to simplify the decision-making process. Now, and on that note, by the way, Stian sent me an update, which I haven't, it's been a while since I've seen an update on the Trade Scanner Pro. He sent me an update. I have to experiment with it some more, but he's made some improvements to it, and he's still working on the full update. It wasn't the full update that he sent me. It was like a partial update but he showed me some pictures of like what the full update will look like, and it looks really good because one of the goals of the improvement is to get rid of this table and represent it graphically, right? So one of the ways we're doing that is we're putting trend status lines from multiple time frames on the chart. So you can basically get context, right? We can get context from the bigger picture without having to look at the bigger picture because it'll all be represented on whatever time frame you're working on. So, I mean, I should have known that a while back, but anyway, these things take some time to evolve. Like I should have known to include that in this when we initially built this thing. But I just thought the table, at the time, it just made more sense to have the table. But I don't like the table. It gets in the way. It's cumbersome. It blocks things when your charts are consolidated. So we're going to represent it graphically. Anyway, he's working on it, and he showed me a picture of it, and it looks really cool. So for people who have the Trade Scanner Pro, when we push that update, you will automatically have it, right? That's really cool. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that. So by the way, if I don't get any trade signals here today, I will sit here and I will talk for an hour and not take any trades. If that's the way it is, that's the way it is. I'm not going to force trades. Now, as we can see, this market is weak. There's nothing to do here. Let's take a look at my 30-second, right? My 30-second time frame. Let me make sure my 30-second, I got to turn all my stuff on over here. Forgot to do that. When you get the Trade Scanner Pro, you must turn these things on. The new version will have them turned on, but the old version right now doesn't have them turned on. You have to turn them on. Otherwise, you won't get like the previous trades and all that kind of stuff, which you need. It's helpful to have. All right, so let's see what we can do here. Let's see if the market gives us anything. Now we've broken below. We're pretty much persisting below this overnight low here. Right? It's making new lows. This is a lower low. All right, cool. No problem, which means I want to see a lower high. In fact, I'm not going to get a signal unless this thing bounces of some type of bounce. This bounce over here, I suspect that was a signal on the 15-second chart. Let's take a look. Was it? Yes, it was. See what I mean? Right there. Was that worth anything? 45-point profit. All right. You say, well, why won't you trade a 15-second chart? Because you got to limit it somewhere. Some people trade 15-second charts. It's just for me, they're too fast. And they get stopped out too often. And I don't, I'm trying to do this conservatively here. If you're aggressive and you want to work with that, that's up to you. Now, what's the risk on this? Let's see. The stop loss, the entry was 18,102. The stop loss was 18,160. That's a 30-second. See, so that's about 15 points of risk. How about this one? What's this one? 18,072 by 154. Okay, so that's about, let's see, what is that? About 80 points of risk. That's about right for a 1 minute. Well, 1 minute should be somewhere between 60, I'd say 50 and 80 points is within reason on a 1 minute chart. And a 30-second chart should be smaller than that, right? And this was about what, 15 or 20 points, whatever. That's what you want to see. That means we're in a more of a normal environment. Because a couple of weeks ago, when things were wild, the 1 minute chart was showing 200-point risk, stops. And that's like, wow, that's a lot. 200 points is too much. So since we're in a normal environment here, I'm going to put 2 contracts, right? Because that's normally what I want to trade, 2 contracts of the micro NASDAQ. I don't want to trade mini lots because I'll blow the account in 2 seconds if I'm wrong on this type of account. Now, remember, for prop firms, you have to understand what you're dealing with. I know there could be a lot of information here, and it could be very overwhelming, especially for a beginner, because there's a lot of factors you have to keep in mind. When you're dealing with a prop firm, you have to be very familiar with their rules. Another thing you have to be very familiar with is the type of account you're dealing with. This is a 50K account, evaluation account, but it's not really 50K. That's sort of a mislead right there. It's really a $2,500 account. The 50K that they put, and all of them do this, that 50K that they're advertising, or if it's 100K or whatever it is, right? Whatever number that is, that's the leverage that they offer. That's what that is, leverage or buying power. That's not the actual money in your account. It's a very important point because it misleads you to think, oh, I got a 50K account. It's not really 50K. Because if this was a 50K account, we'd have a lot more flexibility. What we have is the max loss limit. Man, this market sucks, man. It's not even giving us anything here. The max loss limit is what we can compare the actual account money to. And the max loss limit on this account is $2,500. That's the account size. Because if I blow $2,500, I'm at zero. So we're dealing with a $2,500 account. The advantage to doing something like this or to using something like this is if I were to use a real $2,500 account, there's a lot of problems that can come along. Like, for example, let's say I blow half the account, right? And I turn my $2,500 account into a $1,250 account, right? $1,250. Well, in that scenario, I will not be able to afford the same size as I would on the 2,500 because as you lose money in a real account, you have less maintenance margin, right? On top of that, if you look at margin requirements these days, the intraday margin may not be the same as the overnight margin, but Interactive Brokers, for example, which is one broker that I use, there's no intraday margin with them. They only have one margin amount, and it's $2,900. AMP is also like that too. AMP Futures also has a $2,900 margin requirement for one micro lot, which means I need to have a minimum of $2,900 in my account to trade one micro lot. And if I go below that, if I have $2,850, I need to put in the extra $50 in order to trade one micro lot. So the margin requirements, and brokers change them constantly, especially in this environment. I've gotten like a dozen emails from AMP Futures, especially changing the margin requirements like every night, or adjusting it, or temporary margin changes, or blah blah blah. And every time there's a news event the next day, they change the margin requirements. You don't deal with that here. With a prop firm, you don't deal with any of that. You don't have to worry about margin. They give you the buying power, and that's that. So I could do 10 mini lots on this thing, which I could never do on a 2,500. I couldn't even think about that. I couldn't even do 10 micro lots on a real $2,500 account. Here, I could do 10 mini lots. So I'm not going to do that. But the thing is, Like I said, because of that feature, you can beat an eval in one day, in one trade, actually. Okay. Anyway, this thing is not giving us anything here. Like I'm not going to short something that keeps pushing lows because this thing can squeeze at any moment. I need a retrace, right? I need this. I need something like this, and it's not giving it to me. So what am I going to do? You can argue with me, and you could be like, well, a couple of green candles here, you could have maybe shorted, and I could have, but you know what? You know how many times I've seen hesitation like this, and then you get one of these, right? The goal here, when you've determined that your momentum is bearish and you're not at a resistance level, you just keep pushing supports, you need that retrace, you need a pushback because that's where your risk is going to be the lowest, okay? Something like up into this area. See what I mean? Like what if I shorted that just now? It's turning green a little bit, right? When this thing squeezes, it's going to squeeze. And we want to find the top of that squeeze. Kind of like this. That's what we want. That gives us the greater probability as long as, as long as the momentum is intact. Notice up here, by the way, I just want to point this out. Because at this point, when the market was up here, at that point, I think it was pretty clear that the momentum was bearish. Okay. I think we could have argued at that point, just judging by the overnight action, that the momentum was bearish. Can we argue that? Let's see. Yeah. It was trying to rally up a bit. But that lower, this lower high, right, was in place, right? Lower high compared to what you say? Well, lower high relative to this high. That's definitely lower. These highs don't really count because again, this is your dominant high. None of those highs took out this high, right? So this is a lower high. At that point, we still, the reason why I'm bringing this up is we could have made a judgment and we could have said, well, all right, general bearish, right? Generally bearish when the market was fooling around here. When you have that judgment made, generally bearish, double tops, which is what this is, can be an inflection point compared to like buying, like this double top situation right here. You would not buy that. That would not be a breakout attempt for a long, because it's possibly a lower high. Does that make sense? Also, another thing you would not do is buy this support. Because yes, it's a support, but it's likely to break because you're coming from lower highs, especially after these lower highs are established. No supports. Don't buy them. You could go for the breakout. That's aggressive. You could go for the breakout. That's a possibility. See, look, we're having a breakout right now. This right here. Okay, this would be a breakout. I'm not going to take that. There's no signal. The Trade Scanner Pro doesn't do breakouts, but we can talk about it. So what is that? 17,946, 948. All right, let's see if that goes anywhere. We're just going to observe it. I'm not taking any trades. All right, that's not a signal. And that's another nice thing about the Trade Scanner Pro is it helps me avoid my own random ideas. Okay, like right here, oh, breakout, right? Okay, maybe it's a breakout, maybe that works, but it's going to be a tough area. I'm on these lows. I'm just monitoring it, but there's no signal. I can't justify taking that. So the Trade Scanner Pro keeps me out of trouble here, right? Maybe this works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. But I have no risk defined. I have no profit objective. This would just be an aggressive day trade short if I had shorted that. And now look, it's not working. Right, but the breakout looked like it was working there for a minute, for a moment, and now it's faking out. Now, what do I bang it out now? Maybe I bang this thing out. Maybe I try to give it a chance. But you see, like I'm getting into trouble because of my own random ideas. There's no signal there, so I'm not in any trades. Right? We're just talking here. Just talking. Does that make sense? Maybe this one works. When you have these situations here like this, when it starts to jumble up like that, a lot of times that's a sign of buying. It's not buying just yet, but a lot of times you get this first before the real, this is basically like accumulation. You could think of that. Maybe this one, maybe this follows through. So again, what I'm describing here is just loose ideas. Like, oh, okay, maybe it's a short, maybe it's a breakout, maybe it's worth a few points. I don't know, but I have no confirmation. I have nothing, so no trade. Like, I don't want people to be confused and think I'm taking trades here. For me to take a trade, I got to press one of these buttons. Okay, so I'm just observing. In order for me to take a trade, like I said, this thing's going to have to bounce. It's going to have to deliver some kind of significant bounce, something along these lines. It's going to have to deliver something like this. If I don't get this, I got nothing to do. The Trade Scanner Pro is it's a tool that measures retracements. It's a confirmation tool, and the way it confirms is it measures a retracement. All right. Now, what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, what time is it? Okay, so it's just after 10 o'clock Eastern time, and there's a couple of pieces of information that we can observe here, right? So let's take a look at let's open up our 1 minute chart, and there's something called the opening range, right? If you're not familiar with it, it's a very common thing used by day traders. There's the opening range, and then there's the opening balance. The opening range is the first 30 minutes of the market. So from 9:30 to 10 o'clock is your opening range. So we could basically put that on a chart, and there's some statistical relevance to that. So let's look at 10 o'clock. This is a 10 o'clock candle right there. Okay, that's the low of the 10 o'clock candle. And let's put the 9:30 high, the highest point since 9:30. This is a 9:30 candle over here. So this is the highest point since 9:30. Okay, that right there is our opening range. You see that? So there is some statistical relevance to that. And the market, a lot of times, these opening range levels will act as support or resistance. Notice we are fooling around, we are hesitating near that opening range low, right? And then 10:30 gives us the opening balance, whatever they call that, which just basically just gives us another level to look at. But the opening range, which is your first 30-minute candle, 9:30 to 10 o'clock, gives us a point of reference. And right now, this may be a support, but if it can't find support and that just sticks as a resistance, this line that I drew here on my 1 minute, that could be a point of reference to get short. Maybe not right now, this moment, but maybe at some point, we test a little lower, we come back and retest this line. As long as we are staying below this level, right? As long as we're probing below the level, we can judge the market as weak. If we break back up inside the opening range, the market may be in more of a consolidation type of situation, right? Where the market can break inside and just fool around inside of here and give us all kinds of random patterns. And if the market makes it back up to here, clearly that's going to be a resistance level if it can get that far. If it could break above that, a lot of times it'll retest it, and now you can classify the market as strong. So you can sort of use that to help you judge the type of day we're having. If you Google it, there's all kinds of videos on opening range and this and that. It's nothing. It's not like a new strategy. It's been around a long time, and you can basically build. I wouldn't really call it a strategy. You could build strategies around it, but it gives you a point of reference or a perspective, just like other techniques. Wave counts can give you perspective too. But for day trades, opening range is used very often. I've worked with it. I think it can give you some insightful information as far as levels and expectations. Like so far, we're trying to hold the bottom of the opening range. We're trying to hold it. We can't really take any action here. And in fact, at this time, I would not turn bullish just yet. This may still be our opportunity to get short. But I don't even have a heads up here, man. Is my heads up on? Yeah, it's on. I don't even have a heads up over here. I got nothing. I bet you let's take a look at the 15 second. That's probably where all the action is. Well, I had a heads up back here, but no signals. Okay, so I'm still going to judge this as bearish, right? Until like we're going to have to really push way above into back inside that opening range, and also before I really start going bullish or start even thinking bullish, like I said, I need to see some type of resistance break. Now, the resistance break that I'm describing may not even be present yet, meaning we may bounce first, right? Let's say we bounce, and let's say we bounce up to here, and then we reject that, and then we pull back. This would be our new intraday resistance point, right? In this area right here, let's say. And then let's say we produce a higher low off of the range, the opening range low. Let's say we produce a higher low. Okay, I'll draw that. Look, I'll draw that with a trend line, right? We bounce off this, we do this, and we produce a higher low, right? We do something like this as the day unfolds. We get a situation like that. That means the structure is changing. And you cannot stay in bear mode anymore. When you see that, you have to start thinking in bull mode. Otherwise, you're on the wrong side of the momentum. Even though the day may be negative and everything, all these other bearish signs, if the structure changes like that, you have to change. I've been in that situation many, many times where I'm like, oh no, but it's bearish, bearish. Even though there's a higher low smacking me in the face. And I'm bearish, bearish. And I'm shorting it. And it goes higher. And I don't understand. How can this be? This is bearish. And it's not bearish. It was bearish, but it has changed. So you got to be careful with getting caught in a mindset where you're stuck on something. Okay, if the market changes, you have to have a very open mind and you have to change with it. And there are certain structural changes that we can easily recognize. They're not present right now. All right, does that make sense? So everything I just told you is what I use for my analysis on larger time frames as well. That's how I come up with my analysis on TradingView, which, as you can see, I make a lot of interesting observations on there that the market tends to align with. The market is not aligning with my ideas. I'm aligned with the market. And I'm just pointing out where there's a greater possibility the market can go. I'm not always right, but I'm right, a decent amount of time, I think. And no one cares. Okay? No one cares. Yet I see these fake gurus on YouTube who are wrong very often. They make these big claims, like Bitcoin is going to go to 1 million by tomorrow. And they get all this attention. And then they're wrong. And then they come up with another big claim. And then they're wrong. And people just like those big claims. I don't know. I'm just not doing that, man. It's not true to who I am. I'm just not going to do it. I'm not going to, I can come up with big claims too and make them up like they do. I could do that, but I'm not going to do that. As a CMT, I don't think I'm allowed to do that. I think I violate their code of conduct if I do something like that. Notice these guys who make these big claims are not CMTs. Usually, I have not seen a big claim from a CMT. So, man, this thing is just, wow, this market sucks. Ah, man, I'm afraid to look at the Qs. I'm still long those Qs. Let's take a look. It'd be nice if I had a signal here, man, but no signal. Where are we at? 433. Man, this thing sucks. I'm long from 464 is my average price. So not this thing is 30 points against me. I managed to make $1,300 selling calls when we were fooling around those 460s, but this is a risk that I took, man. I'm still going to hold on to those Qs because, 433 is better than 4 even. We were at 4 even at the bottom of before the tariff delay announcement. Kai, fake gurus are not in the game of successful. They're in the game of perception manipulation. Yes, Kai brings up a very good point. Kai is an experienced guy. He knows how this works. Here's what Kai says here. And they're basically in the marketing game, and as I mentioned before, like I complain about them all the time, but actually we need them. They're a necessity because they draw in a lot of dumb money, and people who know what they're doing can't make money if you don't have someone to take the other side of your trade. You need ignorance. You need someone who just mindlessly follows along with whatever people tell them. You need that. Otherwise, there'd be no opportunity in the market for people that know what they're doing, right? If everyone is right, no one is right. So you need to have a lot of people who are wrong and a small amount of people who are right. That's how markets work. You say, well, I want to be right too. Well, you're not going to be right if you follow everyone else, right? If you follow fake gurus, you follow TikTok, and you're excited by, people driving Ferraris, you're part of the ignorant crowd, and your job is to feed the winners. If you don't like that idea, which I know most people don't like that idea, then you need to change your mindset. You need to stop being excited by Ferraris. This game, really, to really be successful in this game, you have to have a passion for the game, not the money. Okay? You really have to have a passion for the game. I like to compare this to like chess players. Think about a chess player for a moment. You don't see chess players driving around Ferraris, do you? Maybe the top chess player of the whole world, because he gets sponsorships, maybe he drives a Ferrari, but your typical chess player does not. Why do they play that stupid game? Why? Because they're passionate about the way the game works. They like, outsmarting their opponent and being 3 steps ahead, or whatever that game's involved, like the combinations of the pieces that excites them. They're passionate about the game. They don't play that game for money. They play that game for the game. I'm sure you could, there's games where you could bet on chess and blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure there's that. But that's not what excites the typical chess player. They read books on this stuff. They read, all these moves, and they're passionate about the game, not the money. There's no money in chess, right? So think about like an Olympic athlete. There's no money for a long time as an Olympic athlete. You just love it because you love it. That's just what you do. You're an ice skater. You're whatever you are. That's just what you do. You practice 10 hours a day because you love that. You're passionate about it. And maybe you get so good that one day you could compete and you get a sponsor and then you make some money, right? All professional athletes. And then we don't see the ones who fail. We see the ones who get there. But the ones who fail also had to put in all that time too, and they still failed. So, you have to be like that in this game too, to be successful and to stick with it, right? It's hard. It's very hard. So, look at this. We got no trades here, man. I've been talking for almost an hour. But like I said, if I don't even have a signal from the Trade Scanner Pro, I am not going to force a trade. I would like to trade. I would like to add to the account, sure, to get to the $3,000 goal, but I don't even have a confirmation. I'm on my 15-second chart and I'm not getting anything. Okay? So, anyway, but you got to be passionate about the game, for the game. And we all start out, by the way, we all start out on the ignorant side. Unless you have like a real mentor, someone that's proven, someone that for sure has made money in this and that, been in it a long time, and this guy or whatever mentors you along, right? Then you have a better chance of not being part of the herd. But we all start out. If you're just starting out and you're like, hey, I learned about the markets, I saw a video, this guy made $1 billion, I want to make money too. We all come from that. I came from that also 26 years ago. I came from that too. Things were much easier back then, but you all come to this because you get hooked by like the money and the lifestyle dream that they sell, right? But back when I started, it was real. There was none of this fake stuff. It was all real. I saw it with my own eyes. I was part of it. It was real. Today, everything's fake. There was no Instagram back then with fake cars, rented cars and rented houses and all that other nonsense. We had fake gurus, but it wasn't like today. It wasn't like it is today. So my point is, again, we all start out in that group. It is up to us to separate ourselves from that. And what the way to begin doing that is, for one, stop consuming the garbage. You have to stop. You have to love, if you don't love the game for the game, find something else to do because you're just going to throw your money away anyway. Okay. I'm just trying to help you, but I know it doesn't matter what I say. I'm not going to change human nature. We're still going to have our huge groups of mindless, ignorant people who are in this to get rich. And okay, I'm just letting you know, if you want to be successful, you have to separate yourself from that. And until you do, you're going to be on the wrong path. And that's okay because we need people on the wrong path. I'm just not one to try. I'm trying to steer you onto the right path. Whether you buy my stuff or not doesn't matter. I'm trying to steer you on the right path. Okay, and if you don't want to go on the right path, that's okay. That's up to you. We need people to lose. We need ignorant traders. We need mindless morons who just follow the herd. We need that because no one would take the other side of my trades then. No one would take the other side of the good trades. Someone has to be dumb enough to go short this right now. Okay? Someone has to be dumb enough to do that. And the thing about this industry is they like to breed confidence. Because how do you separate someone from their money? Then if they know that there's a high chance that they're going to lose, they're not going to put their money in. So you have to convince them that they're onto something. You have to cultivate that false confidence so that they're like, yeah, sure. You see this, a great example of this. I know I'm talking a lot because I have no trades here. A great example of this is when you go to a casino. I've mentioned this before. There's a game called Baccarat, and it's a very popular game. And you see these players charting the outcomes, sitting there right in the casino. They have a pencil and they have paper, and they're charting the outcomes. And the casino is cool with that. And you have to wonder, why would the casino be cool with that if that gave them any type of advantage? Because the casino knows that there's no mathematical advantage. If there was, they would throw you out for doing something like that. But instead, they're like, here's the pencils, here's the paper. Go ahead, my friends, chart. We'd love you to do that. We want you to win. It gives these players more confidence, and they bet bigger. And that's how the casino makes money. Because the casino knows the more volume they do, because they have an advantage over the players, they make money. And the casino is there to make money, not for you to make money, as we all know. But it's just funny to me. I laugh when I see these guys charting outcomes of Baccarat. And it's meaningless. It's random. It doesn't mean anything. But they're confident, I'm going to win. And, they throw big money around at thousands of dollars. They're not throwing around, it's not like $100 bet. Baccarat's an expensive game. There's no cheap Baccarat tables. So I don't even play the game, but it's very interesting to me, that component of it. Because it reminds me of this, how everyone's so quick to give you, I got these tools, they're going to make you rich and blah, blah, blah. All they're doing is giving you the confidence to bet with real money. Okay? Anyway, all right. I know I've been ranting a lot today. Well, we may have a trade coming up here on the 30-second chart. Look at this. I have a heads up. What time is it? Oh, man. It's almost 10:30. Why does it have to give me a trade now? But look, that's when the market wants to give me a trade. Let's see. Let's see what we have here. This is a signal likely to appear very soon here. That's the whole point of the heads up. Usually in 3 to 5 candles, when you get the heads up, which is this red column, usually that means a signal is likely to appear in the next 3 to 5 candles. Right? So let's see what we get. If a signal pops, I may have to take that. It's a lower high, right? We have a minor resistance over here. If the signal is going to appear, it's going to be on a candle close, right? So, there's our close, no signal. All right. It's also possible that the heads up appears and then there's no signal. Let's check the 15-second chart. I bet you there's one there. Let's see. No signal there either. Interesting. Okay. Oh, there's heads up, but no signal. All right. No problem. So the heads up is not a signal. It just lets me know that a signal may be appearing soon. But when the market gets away like that, like the signal should have appeared, it should have appeared on this candle right here. If that was going to be a signal, that's where it should have appeared. But sometimes what happens is the candle it expands too quickly, and then it goes beyond the threshold of the signal, and then you get no signal. That's why that happens. Okay, if the candle was just a little shorter, a little smaller, then the signal would have likely appeared. But hey, okay, whatever. I'm not going to force it. If I have no signal, I'm not going to take any trade. That's how the Trade Scanner Pro keeps you out of trouble if you just listen to it. All right. In theory, the Trade Scanner Pro should get me to the profit objective simply on the fact that the reward risk is skewed in my favor. Right? When I lose, I'm losing one versus winning 1.5. Right? My reward risk is 1.5 to 1 set by default here. So I'm losing smaller than I win. As long as I don't overtrade and don't take lots of random signals, it should eventually get me to my goal. Because when I win, I'm winning a little more than when I lose. It's just going to take a while. Okay, I've been at this now a couple of weeks, and my account is just over break even because I was minus almost $1,000. Right? I had one day where I blew like a good portion of the account, and then it took me a week to make it back, but I made it back. Right? And the account is positive right now, not by much, but it's green. Okay, I mean you can see that here. The account balance is 50,200 and whatever, 225. So that was like minus 8 something. Right? You can go back and watch it on the streams. You could see it's not like I'm making this up. It's all on record. All right, no signal. What time is it? I'll watch this for a few more minutes, but I prefer not to take a signal as I come to the close of my stream. You're going to have days like this, people. Be okay with it. Don't force trades. I don't like Mondays anyway, man. Mondays are just, I don't know. Mondays are Mondays. Here's another potential signal. Let's see. Now, it took a while to get to these, man. The whole stream I had to wait. Okay, it went away. But see, this is going back and forth. If this turns into a red candle right here, we'll probably get the heads up. Right? And that's the whole point of the heads up. It's supposed to get our attention. Here, let's open this up here because I don't see anything on the 1 minute. So the 30-second, if we're going to get a signal, it looks like it's going to be here. And does this signal still make sense in the short side? Yes. I don't see, we have some higher lows over here, but this is a flag formation. This is what's called a bear flag. I could draw some parallel lines. I got to pay attention here. Hold on. I don't want to miss that signal. Because if the signal comes, I'm going to have to press the button here on the 1 minute chart. Because I have the trade set up over here. So I have the trade buttons. What time is it? Oh, just after 10:30. Oh, there could be news. Oh, there's a signal. All right. So let's see do we turn green or do we turn red? All right, I'm hitting it. All right, so I just got two contracts short. It's just after 10:30. Okay. Now, usually 10:30 we have our opening balance. Usually 10:30 we get some kind of news or there's some kind of action. Often at 10:30, this could be part of that. Let's see how it goes. Now, I took this candle. I took the trade at a slightly worse price than the blue line, which is the entry price. Now, what I was going to point out before this is a bear flag. Okay, you get like that parallel situation right there. It's a lower high and it's a bear flag. The Trade Scanner Pro can't see that, but we can see it. If that follows through, that's a nice bearish pattern. All right. So I don't think I'm on the wrong side of the market here. That's bearish. On top of that, we have this is a lower high and it's a double top. Okay, so there's a bunch of bearish arguments here, right? Like this is like a double top situation. See this? It's a double top. Now, again, none of that guarantees that this is going to work, but at least I'm aligned with the arguments of the market for now. Maybe it changes on me. It could change. The market can change at any time. But hopefully I'm aligned with the probability correctly here. I mean, I'm not seeing bullish signs here. I'm seeing bearish signs. I got the short signal. It took the entire stream. I had to sit here and talk and wait. And, you know, I tell you what I don't like. I don't like this hesitation, but let's see what happens. Again, everything is bearish. If I wasn't limited by time here, then I would just be like, all right, whatever. It goes to the stop, it goes to the stop. But I am limited by time because, again, I have to stream again at 3 o'clock and I have stuff I have to do in between. So that's why I don't like taking trades, 1 hour into the stream here. I'm just curious, what is this amount of risk? 29 points. That's nothing. 29 points. That's appropriate for a 30-second chart. 29 points of risk. Okay, I don't want to lose that, but that's better than 100. All right, I don't like this, man. But if it goes to the stop, I have to respect it. So let me go over here, prepare to bang it out. I'll have to buy it back. Let's see how it goes. Now, the whole point of the stop, again, is to simplify my decision-making process. Right? Like, yeah, I can bang this out right now because I don't like the way it looks. But that doesn't mean it's going to go to the stop, though. So when you use a Trade Scanner Pro, like I said, you got to respect the levels. And the thing that you have to do, I have to talk to Steen about this to see if he could do this. But you should have your trade, like the stop, you should have a hard stop and a take profit. It should be automatically programmed in like that when you place your order. That's what you should do. I'm not doing that here because I'm just lazy, I guess. But you're taking more risk by not doing that. Because if there's a price spike because of some news, I'm going to get screwed. All right? But I'm just going to bang this out manually. But it'd be nice if Steen can actually have those things auto-populate so that you don't even have to press it. Like it'll auto-populate with the trade numbers. That would be really cool if it could do that. And all you have to do is press OK, and then the thing, places the stop and the profit objective for you. That would be really cool. But I don't know if we could do that. All right, so I may have to bang this out. Let's see. I definitely don't like those green candles. We're coming back up to this potential lower high area. Now, something that's weak really shouldn't be behaving like this. So I may just have to take this stop. It's annoying, man. That's why I don't like Mondays. 29 points. Out. All right, that's it. I tried. It was a good setup, man. But the market's going to start acting like this. How much money? What would that cost me right there? Let's see. $124. All right. That's not horrible. Okay. In fact, am I still up on the account? Yeah, I'm actually still up on the account. Now, let's see. I'm going to give this a chance here. Like, I'm going to see if we get another setup. I'll give it a few more minutes. It's giving us the heads up, right? Nothing, it hasn't turned bullish yet. Now, if we continue on this path, right, we just continue higher and we start pushing above here, then I may have to adjust my thinking. Okay. Let's see. So these look, this is going to happen. I think I took everything right. I lined up for it. I waited. It took forever. I take the signal. It stops out. We may have another signal here. I'll take this. But like 29 points of risk, that's actually very good for the NASDAQ. And 30 points is really nothing. That's really nothing for this thing, especially the way it's been in recent weeks. Okay, we're likely to get another signal here. I'm going to take it if we get it. If it gives me a hard time right away, I'm going to bang it out. I'm going to be done. Because I'm not going to keep pushing it. I'll try one more. Usually what I like to do is if I could get it right the first time, I'm done. Right? Green trade, one and done, goodbye, turn it off. If I lose in the first one, like this one was a stop out, okay, no problem. I'll try one more if I get the signal. But you see, how this thing keeps me out of trouble. In this entire hour, I've only had one trade. Not 2, not 10, not 20, just 1. And I may have a second one. And now look, the 1 minute is beginning to perk up now. Look, I'm getting a heads up on the 1 minute. See that? That's also good to see because with the larger time frame carries more weight. So I like that. I'll take my 30-second though. If I see it on the 30-second, the next candle or two should be popping the signal. When we get those heads up, usually in the next 3 to 5 candles. So I'm expecting the next candle or two. If we get a red candle close, I'm expecting the signal to pop up. That is the point of the heads up. Let's see if we get it. If it wants to keep inching higher, okay, no problem. That means no signal for me. But look at the 1 minute. I like that 1 minute. Now, let's see here. Notice where we are. This is the opening range low. We're retesting that level again, interestingly enough, which, like I said, remember before what I said? That could be a resistance level. Remember that? So let's see. We may get a signal right at that level. Now, none of my time frames have changed yet to bullish. Is this bullish yet? Not yet. So it's still looking for shorts. All right, which is what I'm interested in. Makes sense. Now we're starting to push this minor resistance up here. We're starting to push it, but we haven't pushed it yet. If we clear that, then we may have a higher low, higher high situation, which means the structure may be changing. This bear flag should have produced, okay? And this bear flag failed to produce a profit. That's notable. It should have, and the market went the other way. So we have to put that in the back of our mind. What happened? Is the weakness getting less weak? Is this market getting stronger? Maybe it is. Okay? While this is compelling, it's not 100% convincing yet, right? So notice I'm not reacting to anything. I'm not taking trades. I'm just waiting. Do I get another short signal? It's given me plenty of warnings, but no signal. Do I change my mindset yet? I may be there. We may be there. Let's see. We're pushing that. Let's see how the next few candles look like. Like if we fail right now and we turn around right now and the next 1 minute candle is like back to here, something like that, then that's a failed high. And that's something I would be interested in on the short side. If we don't do that, if we get like a little mini inside bar, okay, and then we continue up like this, then the short party is over at that point, okay? So I'm coming up with my criteria here. Some people may just say, we made the higher high, that's it, the short party's over. Not yet. We may get the failed high. Remember, this environment, resistances are likely to break. We don't have any major resistances here. This is the closest thing, and this is not a major resistance. A major resistance is something that you could spot like on a large time frame. 1 minute resistance levels are not heavy duty unless they line up with something on the larger time frame. Right? All we have here is the opening range low, which we still may be resistant around. There's a signal. All right, let's see now. I want to see how this next candle do we close green or do we close red? If we close red, see how like it turns green right there? It starts out green. Let me make that bigger. That's our signal. Oh wait, I can't do that though. I need to short it. Okay, I'm shorting it. All right, so I just shorted 2 contracts at 975. Okay, again. Now, if this thing gives me a hard time, I'm getting the F out. I'm not even going to wait for the stop. If it gives me a hard time, I'm just blowing it out. Okay? Because at this point, this thing should not be going like, if it's going to be 26 points of risk, that's nothing. Again, 20 points, that's easy for the NASDAQ. It can get up there pretty easily. Okay? It's a small stop. If this thing gives me a hard time, I'm just going to say F you and I'm done. Okay. Oh, look, we got a 1 minute signal also. This is a great sign. You see that? We got a 30-second. The 30-second went off first, and then we got the 1 minute. That's great when you see like that, the bigger time frame also going off. That's a great sign. Now, in a situation like this, I can use, if I want to be conservative, I could use my 30-second profit objective. If I want to be more aggressive, I can use my 1 minute profit objective, which is even bigger, right? So I could use my 30-second stop, which is 26 points. What is my 1 minute stop? 38 points, that's it? Man, this is a slow market. Okay? 38 points is very good for a 1 minute chart. Now, my profit objective is 61 points on my 1 minute. So what I can do in this situation, maybe if we can get to the profit objective on the 30-second chart, maybe I'll take one, I'll close one, and maybe we could go to the profit objective on the 1 minute. Like, you have a lot of flexibility now. See how that works? Okay, so let's see here. How am I doing? All right. I'm prepared. I'm going to change my size up here to one contract because I want to blow out one at a time. If we get to that profit objective, I'm going to buy one back. We're almost there. Okay, we're there. Got one. Covered one. Okay. Now I can let the runner ride. I have a runner now. Let's see if the runner delivers anything. Here's my trailing stop on my 30-second chart. Okay, it's now going to start to reduce my risk. All right, so I don't think, well, we could just let the runner run. I can make this chart bigger because the trade is on the 30-second chart. It's based on the 30-second. No, wait a minute. What am I doing here? That's the 1 minute. The 30-second chart went to its profit objective. Now, I want to see if the runner can deliver something here. Okay. Now, a lot of times when you're working with a prop firm like this, it's best to take your money and not really bet on big runners. If the market wants to deliver one, I'm going to try to work with it. I got to you know what? I got to turn the trade buttons on this chart. I have my trade buttons on this chart and not on this chart, and that's why I can't. I got to keep this chart open because I got to bang this thing out manually. But what I was going to say is, there's this thing that the trailing loss limit. If it's a trailing loss limit, what happens is you hurt yourself by trying to let a winner run and then giving back the profit like this. I'm hurting myself by doing that. All right, you know what? Goodbye. F you. That's it. I'm not even going to wait. I don't care. I'm done. Oh man. All right, whatever. I'm not. Let's see how the account looks. Have I made my money back at least? All right, I made most of it back. Minus $28. All right, I'll take that. Oh, they got me good there. All right, whatever. If you're still in that, hold on. That's all I can tell you. Just try to hold on to that. Like I was saying, a lot of times you're better off just taking your profit at the profit objective. So my trade was actually, at the profit objective, I was probably fully green. All right, so minus $28. Remember, they're also calculating commissions out of that. All right, so two trades. I made most of that trade back. Minus $28 is nothing. And this trade is still in play. It's still working. Okay, I just was impatient there, as you saw. Because I don't want to sit here and watch this thing give the profit back. Look at this. The trailing stop is almost at break even. All right, which turns it into a risk-free trade. Do you guys see the learning lesson here? Besides me being impatient, do you see that where this thing really keeps you in line? That first trade that I took was a losing trade, but the second trade, decent winner. And I was able to make back most of that. In fact, if I just waited and got out in a profit objective, I would have had the red turn back into green, my P&L, because I win more than what I lose, right? 1.5 to 1. And now look, this thing's beyond the profit objective. Look at that. Do you guys see that? So I'm glad at least I stuck around. All this occurred. I streamed now for over an hour, like what is that? 70 minutes, and all of this occurred in the most recent 10 minutes. So I sat here for 60 minutes talking about nothing, and all the trade action occurred 60 minutes into it. Right? Anyone still there? Anyone catch any of this? Like, the market delivers when it wants to deliver, right? No forcing. I'd not forced any trades here. The only thing I forced was that exit, but I hadn't forced anything. Just waiting for signals. So people, if you're trying out the Trade Scanner Pro, this is what it's like. If you're taking 10 million trades, you're not using it right. If you're just jumping in for the sake of jumping in, you're not using it right. We lined up with the bearish side because at the beginning, that's what everything pointed to. All the structure lined up bearish. And I said, we're looking for a failed high, resistance, blah, blah, blah. We got the signals at the resistance. It was a minor resistance, but we got it. And look, it paid off nicely. So we're almost at the 1 minute objective. Look at that. Beautiful. Okay. So I was just a little impatient there. I should have just waited for one more candle. But whatever. It's Monday. I'll take a minus $26 day on a Monday. All right. Any questions? You guys learn anything today? Anyone still there? Let me see. Let me see how am I doing here. Man, I got no one on YouTube. Hates me. YouTube, it must be all the other fake gurus. I mean, like, yeah, make sure no one sees this guy. They must be putting some kind of like ban on me or something. Kai is still there. Okay. Kai is still there. Look at the 1 minute objective. We're getting to the 1 minute objective. So people on Twitter, because that's where most of the people are, right? It's people on Twitter, and then there's Kai. And I think there's 2 bots with him here too. I don't know. But if you're going to try out the Trade Scanner Pro, watch this stream again, because this is a good example of what you have to go through to capture day trades using this. If you want to simplify your decision-making process, look, if you're more advanced, yeah, there's some more action you could have maybe capitalized on here, but this really keeps you out of a lot of trouble. All right. I was able to make most of that money back. I should really just consider that break even, and this would have been nicely green if I had stayed in that. Okay. Nicely green. Look at my trailing stop. Look at this. It's basically almost at the profit objective now. So hopefully you learned something from that. All right, you guys. So I'm going to wrap this up. I will be back again at 3 p.m. Eastern time, and we will do our weekly analysis, our chart analysis, and we'll look at Bitcoin and oil and gold and whatever you want to look at, bonds. We'll take a look at things on the bigger picture. All right. So again, thanks for watching. I will also be doing this again. I do this Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, the day trade session. So check these out. There's a lot to learn here. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, the rest of your evening, wherever you're in the world. And thank you very much for watching.